Welcome to the latest episode of 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app on Apple Podcasts, on Android. We recommend you stream us on Spotify, but you can check out the 5 Reasons YouTube channel for everything else. Announcement, we are going to be doing a lot of live post games on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel this year, so make sure that you're subscribed. I'm just telling Greg that, but anyway, no, he knows. Anyway, also check out Off the Floor. That's our Discord server. That's $2.99 a pop. Unless you're famous, then we let you in for free. But you click on the link in the description. You'll bypass the Apple upcharge, place for the most heat, information, and conversation. We also put all the stories that all of us, Brady, Alex, myself, Mateo, we're all writing, Austin, we're all writing now for Sports Illustrated's Heat page. So all of that content is there. Check it out. It's Off the Floor. Also, PrizePicks. Use the code 5. Don't play the way I played today. I had a bad day. But use the code 5. Get $50 in lineups. Lamar Jackson, man. $50 in lineups. Use the code 5. Get those lineups. They'll be on the Explore page. And now, listen to the intro because we're going to be talking about that today. Today's episode.
Uh-oh. Yeah. It's Mercy. Music by Mercy again. Heat Nation, we the culture. Yo, E, I need you to call timeout. Need Brady to set the floor plan. Tropical blanket, open for the shot. Yo, Greg, set the pit. Still 5 on the floor, still ride for my dog. Still battle on the court, still survive in the war. Keep your eye on the ball, or get burned from the keep this mic off the wall without turning the cheek. From night to day, no sleepy paths or allowed to morning. The nut is sleeping us, never catch us snoring. Live from Miami, report in the heat with 5 Reasons Sports from the courts to the streets. Yeah, Wake County, Heat Nation, we say it proudly.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
We're here. Since the Miami Heat lost by 92 points in the last 2 playoff games to the Cleveland Cavaliers, we're wiping that from our memory. We've done almost 200 podcasts. I counted. About nothing. Almost all of them about absolutely nothing. So this is the first one that counts. But if you want us to stay in business, go back and download the last 200 that we did because we'll still get credit for them. Today's floor plan on the eve of Media Day. We are finally here. It is September 28th. Tomorrow, September 29th. Media Day will be at Kaseya Center, and then they'll be having training camp at FAU because they can't go to the Bahamas every year, which sucks. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm Ethan J. Skolnick. You probably know that by now. Follow me there or at 5 Reasons Sports. I got Greg Sylvander. You can follow him at Greg Sylvander. And now the man behind the mic of our theme song, our new theme song. He's now recreated it. Mercy is joining us tonight. Wanted to bring him on in the last episode before Media Day. We appreciate you. Thank you for doing this for us. Obviously, we want everybody
Thank you.
And we want everybody to support your work at MusicByMercy. Before we get to today's topic, which is going to be what are we interested in for Media Day, because this doesn't have quite the same pop as the last couple, because someone ain't here. There ain't going to be any emo stuff this year. So although maybe some Heat fans are emo, but just go through the inspiration for this particular rebrand of our intro.
Just a new year, new season, new characters to play with, And I just didn't want to make it too name dropping, except the real pioneers, that the pillars of the Miami Heat. So obviously you got Lonzo and of course Pat, the Godfather. So I wanted to keep it like that because there was so many variations I was making. Oh, I'm gonna throw Kevin Durant on this one.
Oh, don't.
I'm gonna rap about Dame. Yeah. No, I didn't. I just wrote it. They were like in the chamber in my archives, but I was like, nah. I mean, Dame, I wrote about Dame. There's so many variations of this verses I had for it for the intro, but I kept it tucked. So every time we were ready to do the new intro, oh, he got shipped here. He went over there. I said, all right, I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm just gonna keep it very general, straight Heat, and that's it.
Okay, but you managed to get Tropical Blanket in there. Okay. Now that's which is why when Alex first heard the song, people who don't know, that's his Twitter handle. I've been trying to get Alex to change the Twitter handle for what, 5 years, Greg? Probably.
Yep.
Alex Toledo NBA or something like
for
that.
his professional career,
right? But
like that.
He didn't care, so that's it. And that's literally the only reason that Brady has gone 10 times him in Twitter followers. I tried. I told Brady, and Brady did Brady Hawk 305. Alex still do trouble with Mike, but you managed to slip that in there, which is why when the song was sent to him, he's like, "Yeah, this is fire." Of course, he's gonna say that no matter what.
There's other reasons though.
Yeah.
Quickly before we move into the Miami Heat, I know you dropped Manifesto this year. Any other plans for other projects coming this year that we should know about?
Of course. I'm aiming winter time. I've been working on it. I recorded like 30 records for this new album, and it's just hard to. I was just telling my engineer, I'm at his studio, Slim Rock Studios, and we were just talking like how we gonna break it down to like a good 14, 13 songs. Because today's listening span of people, they go through it like fast food. So you gotta make sure you get it one time and that's it. So I want to make sure every song counts. So that's what we're doing. So hopefully by the winter, early next year, that's what I'm aiming for.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man.
Ethan, you're muted.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking to a guy who uses a mic, and I can't even turn mine on. No, we went to your release party, which I appreciate. It was a good time down there. Wow. So hopefully there'll be another one of those. All right. So anyway, that's the theme song. We appreciate you doing that for us again. We hope that they make a trade for someone that requires you to go back into the studio and record another one. But for now, we've got it. As long as you keep Tropical Blanket in there, we're fine. Now, looking ahead to Media Day tomorrow. Yeah. And, it does feel muted. I will say that. And maybe it's because we've talked it out now for 5 months, Greg, but, it feels like there's been a change in direction this offseason. It's pretty clear. The average age of the starting rotation that we're projecting is about 25 and a half. That's their youngest rotation they've had really since 2003-4, right? Like. Right. And even that one, they had Eddie Jones and Brian Grant kind of weighed that, weighted the ages that way. Here you've just got Norm Powell at 32 is the oldest player on the team. Andrew Wiggins at 30. The other 30-year-old. I keep forgetting Rozier, but I think they've kind of forgotten Rozier. But you look at this roster, even with Tyler out, we know he kind of fits right in the average age of what they have. Bam is 28. He's the captain, but they're relying on guys who are 22, 21, 23. 24. I guess that's what we should be excited about, right? Is you've got a developmental organization that now is working with first-round picks. They've got 7 of their own first-round picks on the roster, 3 other first-round picks. That's what we should. I guess that's what we should be turning to, right, Greg?
Yeah, I think the other part of why this feels muted, to use the word the adjective you used as we prepare for Media Day tomorrow, is Tyler's injury. Like, I think like any momentum that you had, if you were getting excited about maybe Tyler and Norm working in the backcourt and Bam figuring out his offensive game in a new way with this group, if they find some shooters, maybe the young guys pop, like, you could have talked yourself into this team competing in an Eastern Conference that's in a weird place with a lot of injuries, right? But now Tyler's injured. So the first month of the season, you're wondering how you're going to get through that. So I think that just contributes to everybody feeling a little more, just people are less confident, I guess, than usual. And there's less hope trafficking going on. But if there's anywhere to watch for hope, it's the guys like Nico. It's seeing if Jaime can rebound. It's does Ware come in and show, new things next to Bam. So there's plenty to watch for, but it definitely takes, the more patient Heat fan, I would say, because you're not necessarily getting the Miami Heat index on ESPN's homepage with this roster, like you did with the big three.
And I think, and Mercy, I think as we look to that, we put together a video, obviously, with your intro, and you look at the players they've had through the years, right? So the Hall of Fame this year when Mickey went in, was totally indicative of that. It's like royalty. The Heat have been an NBA royalty franchise now for the past 30 years. I don't think the youngins appreciate that. But when you've got Shaq there, you've got Bron there, you've got Bosch there, you've got Wade there, you've got Zoe, you've got everybody else who's been through here. And now everybody's like, okay, so what are we holding on to now? We've got Bam. Obviously, he's on a trajectory that could get him to some pretty high places, considering 2 golds and 2 finals and all-star appearances and all that. But and Tyler obviously had an all-star season, but like Greg said, now, you got a month that you're not going to have him. There's the extension issue that's hanging over his head. So I guess for you, what are you looking forward to?
I think Greg covered it. The youth unit. But definitely looking forward to Davion Mitchell and Norman Powell. Like they just having a full start season straight off the camp. And I have a little faith in Wiggins. I think Wiggins is gonna turn the page. I think they're gonna really show and tell. I want them to have that underdog mentality. If they could just keep that, I feel like they could strike gold some way, somehow. I'm not giving up on them. I feel like I think they just have to find within themselves, even Bam, and just find another level they could reach and bring in the fans again, get them the reason to look forward to. I think they have that. I think they have the multitude and the characters that they can really push forward.
You bring up something here, and I'm glad you mentioned Davion first, because when we did all these episodes, Greg, in the offseason, I think what we just want to see is them fight.
Yeah,
they didn't fight.
Embody his spirit, and the team is going to be like, people will get behind him.
I thought the only 2 guys who really fought in that playoff series against Cleveland were Davion and Nico. They need more guys who are going to fight. And as I'm watching this offseason, I'm thinking, and it's funny because we talked to Spo, obviously, when I was out at Summer League in Vegas, and he stopped by the table. And I will say, as somebody who has been around him now, God, we're old, since 1996, okay, 30 years, okay, I've known him in one way or another, right? And I will tell you, he looked refreshed. I think the last 3 years, for a variety of reasons, had worn on him quite a bit. Last year, obviously, professionally wore on him with what was going on with Jimmy, somebody who he stood up for numerous times and then got thrown under the bus. Nobody likes that. Okay, that's not a pleasurable experience for anybody. But he looked refreshed. They left him alone this offseason. They let him go vacation a little bit. He came back. And, I asked him, Anthony Chang and I from the Herald were sitting, at Summer League. And, Summer League's very, low key. He said he's lets his guard down a little bit. And I just asked him about Powell. I said, well, he seems like a nice guy. Have you ever met him? And he said no. He says, but that's not what we like. He's got a chip. And a chip on his shoulder. And it's funny because I was looking at Norm's Instagram today, and Jeremy Lin, he posted something from Jeremy Lin, who credited Norm Powell for part of his work ethic, that watching Norm every day when they were together briefly in Toronto. And so I think you have Norm, you have Davion. Wiggins looks refreshed also. Now we'll see if that holds. He doesn't always show it, but I know what you're mentioning, Mercy. Like, he's so introverted that it's hard to really tell, but he's smiling, and that's good.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's been around there a lot. So I think, to Mercy's credit, like, Wiggins has set himself up to have a really good season, but this team lacked guys that did the dirty work, that took charges like that. Like, as funny as it was to lose Kyle Lowry, and y'all know I was happy about that in the moment. They basically have not had a guy who is that, like, guy who leads the team in taking charges. Nobody does that. Kevin Love could do it, but he was in a reserve role. Now they're getting back to guys who play defense, who have that dog in them. That they needed some of that. So Norm, Davion, it's good to not overlook those 2 guys in addition to all the young guys that we're trying to look forward to when we look at this team for media day.
And I think the other guy to mention too, and this comes out of Summer League also, is Larson. I'm excited to see what happens with Larson getting rotation minutes, because he has that same attitude. And I do think look, they need talent. You're not going to win big in this league without talent. There's no question about that. But they also, I think, lost their identity, their edge, and all of that kind of stuff. And I do think, to a certain degree, and I want to talk about this on the other side, I think Jimmy took that out of them, because they followed Jimmy, regardless of what the antics might have been. Jimmy is the one who gave them hope. Okay. He's the one that made a lot of the undrafteds believe. Like his closest friends on the team were the Vincents, the Struces, those type of guys. In the way that, and it was always funny, the dichotomy, because Jimmy always wanted more talent and would complain that he wanted more talent, but the guys that he gravitated towards were the guys who were not the high picks,
the
guys who were
dudes,
the lunch pail dudes, and those guys believed in him. And I still think that both of those runs to the finals were largely because of their belief in him, that he could do pretty much anything. And then when he kind of quit on them, and they felt that to a man in that locker room, that was a very difficult season. It was a very, and I just think it took the spirit out of them. Then you're incorporating new guys. You're not over talented to begin with. And we saw the collapse. I think now there's an exhale from Spoelstra, from a lot of the players. It's a restart, and there's young guys with something to prove who want extensions. And sometimes that can be a really positive thing. All right. On the other side of this, we're going to talk about that and more. Going to get into some more Mercy's thoughts here as we go forward. Also, what we want to tell you always is that if you have a car accident, reach out to our friends over 305-800-PAIN. That's right. The phone number is the brand, Better Business Bureau rated A+, accredited A+ rating, car accidents, personal injuries, and related legal matters. A local brand based in Doral. We're going to be podcasting from there quite a bit. Not as nice as Mercy Studio, but what could be? Okay. And it's a lot nicer than this little hole I've got in my apartment here that I podcast from. Always ready to take your call after an accident. 24/7, immediate attention, fast connection with trusted doctors and attorneys. So check them out. It's 305-800-PAIN. Again, that's 305-800-PAIN. Also, 305-800-PAIN. Proud to serve the Hispanic community in South Florida. They're here for you in your language and in your cities. Check them out. 305-800-PAIN. Okay, so again, we talk about expectations. Now let's get to Media Day itself. Brady just wrote a piece about what he thinks the tone is going to be from Eric Spoelstra. So I'm going to go to a little bit of this on you. But Greg, before we start, how do you think he's going to set the tone tomorrow?
I think he's going to be pretty matter of fact that they're looking to, like, the common Spoelstra stuff. I think that he's going to challenge them to change the narrative about the team. When people ask him about that, I think that that's what he'll go to and say that they welcome the challenge and things like that. I think that that's, and then, if you talk about him being refreshed, that'll be something that you'll see in the way that he responds. But I don't see him running from any of the expectations or anybody putting him in a spot where they say this roster isn't a contender, so blah, blah, blah. I think he's going to stop people short in that moment and say, no, we are looking to compete at all levels, because that's just how he's wired.
Love him to death, but I think he's going to stop Ira short first. Would that be your bet? Who's he stop short first?
Of course,
Ira Barry? Probably not Reynolds, right? That's all. The gang's all back together tomorrow. In Brady's article here, he posted from 2023 his tweet. Eric Spoelstra came into Media Day with a message. This Heat team is, quote, one of those teams. Says the championship isn't one on paper, and with predictions, he thinks if they're one of those teams in the playoff mix, yeah, they like their chances. Of course, they ended up in the play-in. They weren't really one of those teams. This is 2 years out. And now this year, I don't think they're one of those teams either. And I don't think that's the way that he's going to portray it. My guess, Mercy, is he's going to portray it that this is a season of, we want to see growth, right? I mean, that's the key thing here.
Mm-hmm. I definitely see it. Just like Greg was saying, also him challenging himself. I don't think he had a great season last season. I feel like he's going to have to also, remind everybody, like, hey, I'm still that coach. I'm still, he's still got that grit. And since point. Jimmy's not there, he got to be the leading example of that pit bull and just, show that dog in them and let them know you got the dog inside you, So
I think that's a good point. And we go back to what I thought was sort of the defining event of the summer for them, other than the Norm Powell trade, which was Eric Spoelstra in Vegas calling out Khalil Ware.
Yeah.
I still can't believe he did it. I was talking earlier about how he was more relaxed, but he wanted to talk to us the next day. That doesn't usually happen. And then he had an answer prepared for Anthony's question, which was a pretty harmless question about Ware. And Spo went on about the need for professionalism. And then when I asked him right after about Jovic, he then spoke about how Jovic had improved his professionalism over 2 years. And I'm going to say it again before he speaks tomorrow. I want to see that Spoelstra. You are the longest tenured coach in the NBA. Okay. Yeah. They've committed to you eternally. He's here as long as he wants to be here. And
say whatever you want.
Say whatever that if you want. No, seriously.
Yeah.
And I understand why the approach has been the approach, because his idea has always been to kind of praise individually and criticize collectively. If you listen to his language, that's the way that he presents it. And that is a leadership style, and it has mostly worked. But I think in this case, like, you're the face now, right? I mean, Pat is 80, okay? Spo is going to be in the face of this thing. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to have more responsibilities, but because Nick Harrison still has final say, the organization is going to run as a collective. But Greg, he's the face of it. Like, this is who the players know, right?
When Yakachonis got drafted and they were talking to him, he lit up in a completely different way when they talked about Spoelstra as opposed to Riley, and that's a generational thing. It just is.
Yep, it is. It is. And then you look at the Olympic experience, and I think the best players in America know Eric Spoelstra now. They don't know Pat. Okay, they know of Pat from what they see on the sidelines and this, the Armani suits, may he rest in peace. Okay, and all the rest of that, everything that they saw in terms of Showtime, but that's grainy footage to them now. Okay, that's what that is. And the Knicks stuff and the Heat stuff, the 2006 championship is 20 years ago. We've been celebrating that. It's 20 years ago. That's the last time Pat was at that level as a head coach. Spo is the guy now, and I just think him finding his voice in that way is important, because I think that these young guys, like those undrafteds, they owed their careers in large part to him, right? Like he helped make them into players, him and the developmental staff, Quinny, Jawan, when he was, all the guys who've been here, Malik, their entire staff have built these guys up. But now, like, again, there's no Pop anymore as a head coach. Like, Spo is the standard. And there's really nothing to lose, and they're going to listen to him. And the evidence was the next 2 games at Summer League, I was right there. Khalil Ware played his ass off, okay? And responded in that way. And I don't know even that Spo had the cachet when he would challenge Whiteside that he has now. I just think it's a totally different level of it. All right, let's get into expectations now as we go forward. And again, Media Day, just to let everybody know, you're going to want to be tuned into the podcast feed and the YouTube channel. I know that we're getting sit-downs with Jovic, Jaquez, Ware. I forgot a couple of the others. Oh, Larson. We're getting a bunch of them. There'll also be the group interviews with Powell. I don't know if Tyler is going to speak. My guess is he probably will. He's always pretty cooperative with the media, and they tend to make injured players available once. So they might try to get it out of the way, and then that will be it. We will hear from Spo from the podium. He'll also be making the rounds. Alex, myself, Brady, Mateo Mayorga, and Kevin Rodriguez are all going to be there at Media Day, so we're going to have more coverage than anybody else. We'll have a ton of stuff there for you. But again, I think that the message is going to be, we're growing as a group. They're not going to want to talk about Jimmy anymore. People are going to try to bring that up. That's over with. But let's pivot now, Mercy, to your expectations for the season. To you, what would qualify as a success?
Just not being a playing team. I'll start with that. Don't be a playing team. You proved a lot to me. I'm gonna start low like that. I don't really have too much big expectations, but I just would like to see them show improve. And just like you said, just show growth, show that you still care, show that you still got that dog in you and stuff like that. Don't give up.
My expectations are in the same spot as Mercy. Like, honestly, it's like, get the 6th seed. That would be a really, for me, that would mean a lot of guys played well, played above expectations. You came together as a group. Spoelstra could potentially parlay that into a Coach of the Year candidate season. So you're on mute.
Again. But that's not going to happen. I mean, I've suggested that, but I think he would have to be top 3 in the East for it to happen. They've got 2 things. There are 2 things competing here. Okay. On one hand, they got to deal with the Tyler injury for a month. They got to come together quickly. They've got a lot of young players who are going to have bigger roles than they've ever had before. That's the negative. The positive is the East sucks. And Spo's not going to say that. Okay. But I mean, let's really break it down. Okay. The 2 contenders in the East haven't proven anything. That Cleveland won the most games last year. Now they were without Strus for the first couple months of the season. They won the most games and they folded in the playoffs. There is a residual effect to that. When you win that many games and then you don't, I remember Atlanta winning a ton of games that one year and then losing to get swept by LeBron in the playoffs, and they came out the next year and were flat. I think they're going to have trouble rebounding from that. When you get slapped in the face like that after a season like that, it's tough to come back. The Knicks, on paper, yes. I don't know if it's going to work with Mike Brown. He's going to try to open them up offensively, but we'll see. I think him spreading the minutes out to more guys is probably helpful, but I'm not sold on them completely either. I still think there are holes in terms of their shooting and some other areas. And that's really it. The other teams we're talking about, Orlando, okay, hasn't proven anything. Really talented young roster. But they didn't play that well when Paolo and Franz were healthy last year. So now they've added Bane. I don't know if that necessarily. I like him. I like his addition. Suggs is going to miss time. I'm not convinced. Detroit, there could be a step back there too. They lost. I think Duncan helps them, but they also lost some players, and that will hurt them. Cade's going to have to take another step. Milwaukee, Giannis is playing with the worst roster he's ever played with since he's become a star. Okay, so you look at that, and then you say, okay, Indy, Boston, Philly are all missing their best player. Philly, we think. The other two we know. So I'm looking at all that and I'm saying, all right, you got an elite coach. You've got a guy who was just named 21st in the league by ESPN, who's a defensive anchor. Tyler will be back eventually. He's going to come back, I think, on fire, okay, because he tends to do that. And Norm can fill that gap for time being. Like Mercy mentioned, Wiggins has something to prove now. I mean, he's going to want another contract after this one's over with. Jovic is playing for an extension. Hawkes is playing to prove himself. Davion Mitchell plays like his hair's on fire. I'm
That's
I'm
about
a little
as good as you can sell this.
Yeah.
Right. You're right. That is about as good as they can sell this. And the other part of that is that they dropped a ton of games because they didn't know what the F to do in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like just
if
over
you
and over.
fix the blown lead issue, that could completely change the entire record of the team. And also because y'all know I'm biased, but I really think that you're going to see a much better Bam Adebayo from game one this year.
I think we will, and I think we better. He has to take ownership of this. He cannot come out like he did the first 2 months. There's no Jimmy excuse with the peripheral stuff now. There's none of that. There's no I was tired from the Olympics and all that kind of stuff. Like he is he knows the deal. He's got no Tyler. He's got to break in these other guys. There's more to his game. Okay. Just go. Be aggressive. Okay. I mean, when we're critical of him, it's not because we don't like him. That's the opposite. Okay. It's because we see more in him. We just want to see it more consistently. But if they can solve the late game problem, and I'll say this again, Norm Powell was one of the best clutch players in the league last year. They went to him, not Harden, at the end of games. Okay. And they were more effective that way. And Tyler struggled in the last 5 minutes of games. So it's a little bit of a transition. All right. We're going to finish it there. Get ready for Media Day coverage. Mercy, tell everybody again where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find all my social media associated with at MusicByMercy. Find all my music on any streaming platform.
We appreciate you. We'll bring you back on the show here from time to time. Sure. I will say you're much better at this than pretty much everybody we have. So if you want to join Greg on a post game, I'm
down.
Just
I'm down.
say the word.
Yeah.
Right, so you will be doing that, and just take Tropical Blanket out of the song. Just that's all I'm asking for. Thanks to our sponsors, 305-800-PAIN. Thanks again to Mercy for joining us. And also thanks to PrizePicks for funding us. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E. Take out the other code. They put one in there for you. We don't get credit for that. Take it out. Type F-I-V-E. It ain't that complicated. It keeps us giving you content. Have a good one, everybody.